Hi guys, this is Mistress Nightmare here, and welcome back to my channel. Before we continue reading chapter 3 and 4 of We Get What We Want, I would like to say something. If this video makes up to 100 likes, and within the first few days of this video being posted, I will do an open request for anyone who comments on this video on which creepypasta fanfiction they want me to read. Note, it does not have to be creepypasta romance, it could be any type. Though there is strict guidelines on YouTube, so please remember that. Before we get started, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe to this channel if you guys want more creepypasta fanfictions out there. Until then, bye! Chapter 3. By the time the clothes were done, YN waved the boys a good night, walking towards her car and loading up the clothes in her car, leaving the boys to sit there befuddled by her actions. She smiled as she went to the nearest gas station next door and bought some food and drinks. The guys were done with their clothes and started walking. YN sat there for a moment and walked up to them. "Hey, Tim," she tapped on his shoulder, making him turn his head towards her. "Yeah?" he asked, turning around, and the others followed his motion. Do you guys need a ride home? I can give you a ride," she asked. Brian smirked, and as he whispered to Toby, both of them nodded and then pulled Tim aside. "One moment, please." Toby watched her for a while Tim and Brian talked. "Okay." Brian told him as Toby nodded his head, looking down. YN nodded and started a conversation with Toby. "So, Toby, do you go to school or something?" YN asked, as she blushed, looking down. No, not really. I just go to homeschool," he said, looking at her. Meanwhile, Brian and Tim's point of view. "Hey, Tim, I saw her truck when we were going to the new hangout. I saw her drive past. I followed her and hid in the bushes. She lives right next door. If we tell her we live there, she could help us while hunting. And if we get hurt while hunting, we can ask her for helping us with our wounds," Brian said, as Tim thought for a second. "Well, she could look after the place. I guess we could. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell a little bit of a lie," Tim replied, looking at her. "But things is, Brian, she's very smart. I wish we could have her. At least ask the master if we can keep her. I mean, well, we've been good. We've been doing as we were told, so let's do it," he said with a smirk. Brian smirked back as they went back. "YN we need a ride, please. We're actually living right next door to you," Tim said as Brian nodded. YN smiled and unlocked her car door for them as the boys loaded their laundry. Time skip. After the clothes were done, YN drove the boys to their home. She giggled as she listened to her music. Tim was in the front seat, while the other two were in the back. They were rocking out to some music. They had good time. As she stopped where they told her, they walked off to get their stuff and said their goodbyes. Chapter 4. A time skip. Week of talking to Slenderman, also the proxy's point of view. It's been a week since we met YN, and we've been meeting up with her after her days at work. Now the boss knows something is up, since we have been going out over to her place during our free time. Well, we've been followed by the boss, so we were forced to tell him the truth. The boss had called us three into his office, and he did not like how we were interacting with YN, so we were going to be questioned. and possibly punished for being too close to her. Children, I see that you were infatuated with a human, he asked telepathically to us. Tilting his head, we nodded, looking down. We were infatuated by her, but if she found out who we were, she could tell the police. And we wouldn't want that. Maskey's point of view. Yes, Master. We are. I apologize, but we have been good. We are caught up. We just like her. If she found out, then we will probably kidnap her and, well, keep her, I replied as he chuckled. The others agreed with me. He shakes his head and sighs. All right, but I expect to hear a report on this girl. This means to be a good experiment for me, Slenderman told us as he crossed his arms and staring straight down at us.